How you guys doing? It's Brand Cruz Daily Fantasy Podcast, where I go and look at loan plays and strategies specifically designed for GPPs. This is a show for people who are already informed on daily fantasy sports and how these contests operate. If you have any question related to NASCAR is a stupid question, feel free to shoot them away on Twitter, BrandonCruzDFS. Most importantly, take everything with a grain of salt and use your best judgment when making entries. Additionally, if you have a gambling addiction, that's just not my problem. Check your sense of feelings at the door. We're talking about the Xfinity Series at Martinsville, the second time they've been at this track this year. There's some discrepancy in terms of the starting grid. I know the NASCAR PDF starting grid is a bit different here. NASCAR.com, when I pulled earlier, had a different starting grid compared to what Bob Pockrass posted and what some other guys posted on Twitter. And so right now I'm just using this starting grid. There is some discrepancies depending on what grid you're looking at. It'll be finalized either both for NASCAR and my projections by the time Saturday rolls around. I'm recording this, midday Thursday, and so NASCAR is always messing something up. This is the 74 car. It wasn't announced at the time it was released, but this is the Mike Harmon 74 car starting 39th. And so just keep that in mind if you're looking at starting grid later and you see, oh man, like right now this is starting 32nd, not 33rd, or some changes here and there. So just keep that in mind. Just wanted to point that out in case somebody comes on here and starts complain about how this is an incorrect starting grid. This is just for me making the projections right now anyway. In the Cup Series video, which I'm uploading right now, and I'm making sure everything works, where everything's uploaded on YouTube correctly, I mentioned that I was kind of just covering bases inside the top 9 drivers. Didn't really have a fan favorite or a favorite going into this into the Cup Series race. I'm kind of just covering a lot of bases. Obviously, we have Hamlin to look at, Larson to look at, Tricks to look at. Whereas here in the Xfinity Series, like I have guys that I'm going to aim for. I'm not going to be spraying out a ton of ownership across the board. My priority entering this race is Ty Gibbs. It's Ty Gibbs and A.J. Allmendinger. When you look at the A.J. Allmendinger races he's had here, he has had absolutely shit-tastic luck. Like, it is unfortunate like how his races have gone poorly. Last year in the fall, when the Xfinity Series came here, finished 26th, had a flat tire late in the race. I believe he would have won that race as well. I think he had a car to compete early this year. Obviously, Josh Berry mixed it up. A lot of different things happened. A lot of late restarts that I think hurt A.J. Allmendinger's performance there, and I believe he got speed on pit road. Could be wrong. Need to actually go and look, probably rewatch what happened to A.J. Allmendinger specifically. I rewatched the race, don't remember what happened to A.J. specifically there. Same thing at New Hampshire this year. Like, he finished 12th there. Like, he's been underperforming based on how he's been running. Like, when we look at New Hampshire, for example, in the race rating there, it was the 7th fastest car at New Hampshire. Ended up finishing 12th. When you look at the Martinsville 2020 race rating, 6th fastest car, finished 26th, like I said. Ran into issue, had that flat tire late in the race, got trap laps down. This time at Martinsville in the spring race here, 15th fastest car, finished 13th, but man, there was so much going on in that race. It was wild. I think A.J. Allmendinger should compete and should be a top 5 car here, especially if they bring back what they had at New Hampshire and Martinsville. Like, I like A.J. Allmendinger and Ty Gibbs a lot. I think A.J. Allmendinger is going to be under owned, and I think he's too cheap. Like, people are going to, just look at the stat box or look at the box score and see that, oh man, he hasn't finished top 10 here yet. Like, he's had the cars here. He hasn't finished top 10 in the 2 races that we should be looking at, the Martinsville history and the New Hampshire history. Even if you want to look at Richmond as well, like, he hasn't been getting the finishes that we think he deserves, 4th best car at Richmond, number 2. When we look at actually, they only went to Richmond once this year, I believe. Yeah, at the Richmond race, 4th fastest car. Where did he finish in that race? He ended up finishing 18th. Like, late race stuff is happening to poor AJ at these short tracks. I want to lean heavy on AJ and Gibbs. Secondary, priority for me is going to be Austin Cindric. If I can grab all 3 of these guys in a lineup, I'll be very, very happy. Now that I've said that, we're kind of going to do what we did in the Cup Series video and start at the back going up, because I think, one, if you land on the guys who lead laps, that's one part of the equation. The second part of the equation is who's actually going to carry your line in terms of the value plays. And so for here, I like Colin Garrett, starting dead last in the Sam Hunt car. I think he's an absolute smash play. I think there's a lot of mispricing here. And in the Truck Series, I was reading in some discords and on Twitter that DraftKings is pricing up the place differential for this in the Truck Series. Like, well, yeah, Truck Series is coming off of Talladega, to where it was a shit fest at Talladega. A lot of bad cars finished up front. Like Tate Fogelman, Danny Bone, and so of course place differential needs to be priced up because they're going to get past. Like, place differential is going to be huge in these two races. I'm not going to go to Spencer Boyd. Depending on who they do select for that 74 at the moment, when I was looking at noon today, hadn't found anything on who's in the 74. As I say all the time, these people are terrible at reporting, terrible at sponsoring. No wonder nobody wants to sponsor in these cars. You don't even post anything related to the sponsors or the cars on your Twitter, on any of your social media. So obviously we'll know by Saturday morning, recording this Thursday around noon, 1 o'clock. Sorry for the clouds and the light right now. Preston Pardus in the DGM car. Interesting that they bring in Preston in here. I've actually wanted to see this for a while. I want to see Preston at a short track. We know he's the road course ringer for DGM, and in the same situation that I always say is Pardus is most likely going to get moved over in road courses. I think he's going to get used up here in this Martinsville race. I got him right now passing 15 drivers, ended up with 34 DraftKings points. For me, it's going to be a no. I think Preston Pardus runs into issue. I think this is going to be a huge challenge for him. I don't mind Stefan Lai at all. I actually prefer him over David Starr. Matt Mills is going to be a no for me. Ryan Ellis is going to be a no. AO, you remember, I can't pronounce his name, so he's AO on this channel. I'm not going to play him. Joe Graff Jr. Interesting, very interesting here. Starting 31st. When we look at Joe Graff Jr.'s history, this is where I believe track history and not necessarily looking at how he's ran this year is important, because Joe Graff Jr. is a terrible driver, probably the worst in the Xfinity series outside of somebody starting in front. So when we look at Joe Graff Jr., his track history isn't complete dog shit here. He finished 21st last year in the fall, or last year in the Xfinity Series race. That's not crazy, man. Good chance this is a wreck fest. Obviously, he finished 28th here earlier in the year. Remember, that was a 2-day show. A lot of things happened. Like him finishing 38th, I can't really hold that against him. That's kind of what we expect from Joe Graff Jr. But when we see him finish 24th at New Hampshire, I like that. When we look back at his Richmond race, not as bad as you'd expect. Where do you expect him to be, Richmond-wise? 38th, 32nd? He's 36th. I believe he ran this. I believe he got wrecked out, actually, at Richmond. He finished 31st at Richmond. For $4,600, I would actually prefer to play Joe Graff Jr. on short tracks versus intermediate tracks. We'll keep him in the pool. I think he can certainly be used, especially if you're trying to gain as many lap leaders as possible. I think Jade Buford is underpriced. He should easily smash this, easily get 5x value here. I got him for 34 points. He should easily smash that. Josh Berry, if you believe that this Jordan Anderson car is going to show up, going to be fast, we saw him kill it at the Martinsville this last time around. Don't need to say anything more. It just depends on what Jordan Anderson brings in this 31 car. I have to imagine they're going to put a lot behind Josh Berry. And that's where you get in the situation of, 3 to 4, 9K plus guys. Do you get both Cindric, Gibbs, and Jordan Anderson together? That's a very easy lineup to make work. Do you get all 4 of these guys in a lineup? Very easy to work, or you can make it happen, or depending on who else you want to put in your lineup. I think Barry is a guy you do need to have exposure to, because if he is as good as he was last time, I know it's not a junior motorsports car, but Jordan Anderson's going to be putting a lot of money towards this, and so I like that. JJ Yaley, coming back to where we first saw outside of the Roval race in 2020 or 2019, don't remember. This was one of the first times last year we saw JJ hop in this car for Rick Ware Racing, and we saw how well he did. This was the first indication of, maybe we actually need to consider looking at this Rick Ware car here, because he finished 14th in this race last year. 24th in the spring, as I've kind of said, a bit of a wild race, 2-day show, just a lot of stuff going on. 23rd at New Hampshire. I like JJ to get a finish inside the top 20 here. So I'll be using I'll be using JJ quite a bit in lines. Jeffrey Earnhardt, not going to do it for me. You're not put that gun in your mouth. You're not the real 3, Jeffrey. Natalie Decker, underpriced, $4,800. regardless of how poor she might perform, she's $4,800. I got nothing else to say, man. Yeah, I'm not even gonna say anything else. I don't want to get in trouble. Alex LeBay. I couldn't find out what happened to him last week. Last week was the first time I played quite a bit of Alex LeBay. I'm pretty sure he ran into a motor issue because I think he was down a cylinder, actually. Roughly between right after stage 2 happened, he started dropping like a rock, because he was running around 32nd all day, 30th, 28th, 29th. I knew something was wrong because we've seen Alex LeBay run inside the top 25 at intermediate tracks. Knew something was wrong. Right after the start of the second stage, we saw him fall to 38th, go in pit road or the garage or something. They didn't say anything about it on the broadcast, but he got trapped at least 8 laps down. Something happened with Alex LeBay. Couldn't find out. I'm sure I'll look more into it later when they'll probably post something. Somewhere, someone has what happened to LeBay last week, and I'm assuming it was a motor issue. Probably lost cylinder, something like that. Anyway, LeBay, $7,200 at a short track, starting 25th. I think he can easily hit 5X. I like LeBay, and I think he's underpriced. And so if I think Jade is underpriced, if I think Yaley is underpriced, if I think even Natalie Decker, Joe Graff Jr., Alex LeBay, Stephen Light, the Colin Garrett machine starting dead last, if I see 7 drivers being underpriced, in my opinion, starting in the back, and we haven't even got to anybody over, other than Josh Berry, anybody over $7,200, it makes it real easy to build lineups with multiple expensive guys in there. And so that's why I'm starting here, because I like a lot of these guys. Kyle Weatherman, don't see the reason to risk it this weekend. There's better plays. I'm not going to be on them. Landon Castle, not going to do it this week. Not going to go there. Josh Williams, rather go to Alex LeBay. Ryan Vargas, second worst driver in the field, not going to go there. Bailey Curry, don't see a reason to. Obviously, he's competing for points, but do I go Bailey Curry or do I go, Stephen Light? Do I go Colin Garrett? It's not even a competition. I'm going to those guys down there. Same thing with Tommy J. Martins. Don't see a reason to go there. Alpha Prime Racing. Not going to do it. I got him for 5X, though. I got him for 28 points, but there's going to be other guys I use. I don't see myself going to him. Don't see myself going to Jeremy. Don't see myself going to Brandon Brown either. We're getting to the point to where, Brandon Brown, we like him at the intermediate tracks. When we look at how he struggled here at Martinsville, I think he's a guy that I would much rather just play on intermediate tracks than flat tracks and short tracks. Earlier this year, 27th in Martinsville. Last year, 18th. New Hampshire this year, 17th. I think he's a bit overpriced. Not going to be going to Brandon Brown. Riley Herbst. This is where, Riley Herbst is a short track guy. Give him as much shit as you want. I like Riley Herbst a lot in this race. Jeb Burton, not going to do it. Ryan Sieg, not going to do it. Brett Moffitt, guess what? Not going to do it. Myatt Snyder, not going to do it. Sam Mayer, not going to do it. We're going to keep Burton in there. Going to keep him as a C, bit expensive. Certainly have to build with him in mind. I actually really like Noah Gragson to win laps. If I was a betting man, I'd actually be interested in betting him to win this race. I think he's an underdog I think he's a dark horse that could actually show up and win this race. He's been extremely fast on the short tracks, flat tracks. I like Gragson in this situation, and I think he's a way to get different if you have the stones to play him. And if you're doing that, you're having to fade either Cindric or Gibbs or Barry. But I think building a Noah Gragson line is going to be interesting, and I'll probably recommend that on my Patreon later. Oops, I gave it. It might change, but right now I want to build at least one lineup with Gragson because I think he offers a lot of upside for ownership that I don't think will reflect on what his actual possibility of being optimal is. Brandon Jones going to be a no for me. Hemrick, we'll keep him in there. Not a priority though. Michael Annette going to be a no. Sorry, I'm having to move things up. No, keep these guys as C's. But yeah, those are the guys I want. I really like this slate. I think it's really easy to pay up for Gibbs, for AJ, for Cindric, even for Hemrick, for Gragson, for Harrison Burton, for Josh Berry. I think it's very easy to get 3 of those guys in a line and still have a lot of things to spare. Colin Garrett is going to be easy to get in the lines. Stephen Light's going to be easy to get in lines. Jade's going to be easy to get in lines. Yaley, Natalie Decker, Alex LeBay, Joe Graff Jr. I really like the pricing this weekend. It's easy to get a lot of good lines in there, and these contests are small enough, 5,000 people. You don't have to get super crazy, you know. When after you get past like 3 or 4 or 5 lines, and sure, yeah, start taking some risks here and there, but you can cover a lot of the good plays in quite a few lines, and that's how I want to do it. I'm really interested. Ty Gibbs is my priority in this race. And I think I'm going to be over the field on A.J. Allmendinger. That's where I'm at right now. Thursday, if something changes, obviously tune in to the live show this week. I'll be doing a live show Saturday because we have both the truck and Xfinity races on Saturday. One is at 12 and one is at 5. I'll probably be live early in the morning talking both races, so you can ask me any questions or line construction or anything you got early Saturday morning. Thank you for listening, and we'll get to the Truck Series race right here, or Truck Series video. You know what I mean. I'll record that right here. I'll see you guys in the next one.